let's first of all shed a brief tear for Jagmeet Singh, because the problem he has is that he's trying to be an NDP leader and we already have an NDP prime minister. I mean, Justin Trudeau is he's actually much more radical than the traditional NDP.
As the NDP themselves admit, the previous leaders of the NDP.
Yes, he attacked the NDP Trudeau attacked the NDP for being too conservative.
Yep.
But because he had the comfortable blanket of the Liberal Party, which governed for most of the last century, people didn't realize what kind of radical they were dealing with. Yeah. The second problem Jagmeet Singh has is that all of his political ideology is implemented now. So, and we're seeing it. Like, people look around and say, okay, this is what it looks like. The utopia the NDP has been spinning in the corner of Parliament. They told us everything was going to be free and wonderful and just, and there would be
racial equity.
There would be there would be unicorns and butterflies and rainbows, and this would be the utopia. Well, now that all of their policy agenda, all of their agenda is implemented, and people look around and it's a hellscape. Mm-hmm. We have 1,400 homeless encampments in Ontario, 35 in Halifax. We have hate crimes are up 253% in the last 9 years. The military is decimated. Wages are dropping. Like, it's the list goes on. And so Jagmeet Singh is trying to disown that ideology, even though that it belongs to him. And he's trying to unsuccessfully to convince people that he's somehow different than that, when in fact Trudeau has only been doing what Singh would have done in his place. And so it is a classic for socialists. What they try to do is change their names and move on and try to have everyone forget their past. And when I say that socialists changed their names, I mean, they first were communists, and then they became socialist, and then they became social democrats, and then they stole the word liberal, and then they ruined that word, so they changed their name to progressives, and then they changed their name to woke, and now they claim they don't want to be called woke anymore. Because socialists always try to disown the things they've done because it's manifestly disastrous, and that is what Singh is trying to do, while simultaneously keeping Trudeau's government going. He voted just a couple of weeks ago against a non-confidence motion that I put forward, which contained Singh's own criticisms of Trudeau in Singh's own words. So he voted against his own words to keep Trudeau in power. But I will remind people.
How do you account for that from a motivational perspective? I mean, the scuttlebutt in the Canadian press is that Singh is propping up the government for personal reasons, say, regarding his pension. Now, you're making a much more political case. But what I can't understand how he can reconcile himself to himself, because what he does is so at odds with what he says that it couldn't be more different. Like, if he allied him, the other thing I can't figure out, maybe you can shed some light on this, is like, when Singh agreed to act as Trudeau's support, why the hell didn't he negotiate a cabinet seat? I mean, why didn't he make it into a formal coalition? I know that's not a traditional Canadian move, but it could happen. And so he sold his soul to Trudeau, fundamentally, decimated his own party, and gained nothing in return, including what he could have gained had he bargained properly. That's how it looks to me. And what do you think about that?
I mean, he's not a very good negotiator, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And what we are seeing is all of these egomaniacs in both the NDP and what we now call the Liberal Party are turning on each other because they all want to disown their collective record. All of them want to say, I wasn't part of this. And whether it's the outgoing finance minister Freeland, or Mark Carney, who's been writing the financial plan behind the scenes, or Jagmeet Singh, they're all trying to say, I wasn't there, I wasn't part of it, I'm something completely different than what you see. That is just an illustration of how much of a disaster their agenda has been. And I think that's why we're doing so well, and we're going to defeat them, and Canadians will give me a mandate to take the country in a completely opposite direction.
America's healthcare system is lacking in any real care. Insurance companies regularly deny progressive treatment options, primary care physicians refuse to order comprehensive lab work, and the standards of care lag years behind the leading research. That's where Merrick Health comes in. Merrick Health represents a paradigm shift in how we approach medicine. The premier health optimization platform, Merrick Health empowers you to maximize your longevity and performance with the confidence that comes from having experts in your back pocket. They offer cutting-edge diagnostic labs, concierge health coaching, and expert clinical oversight. They help you achieve your health and fitness goals by leveraging data-driven lifestyle and nutrition recommendations, along with supplement and prescription treatment options. If you're listening to this show, then you're probably a proponent of taking your health into your own hands. That's why we've teamed up with Merrick Health to offer a turnkey optimization package designed for those who want to maximize their performance and longevity with the most elaborate testing on the market. You'll receive extensive lab work, thorough lab reports, video calls with Merrick's health experts, and expedited onboarding. Go to merrickhealth.com/Peterson and use code Peterson to get the same panel and medical oversight I get, and save 10% at checkout. That's merrickhealth.com/Peterson and use code Peterson at checkout.
Okay, so what do you see on the horizon in the upcoming year? I want to talk about two things. What you think is going to unfold, well, even in January, I mean, once Parliament reconvenes, and what you expect from Trudeau in terms of his political action, then what you expect as the Liberal Party tries to reformulate itself. Like, I can't imagine a scenario, not really, where Trudeau leads the Liberals into the next election. That seems to me highly improbable. It wouldn't surprise me if he has to be removed kicking and screaming, so to speak. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on what are Canadians to expect in the upcoming months.
So Parliament's back in late January. It will take some weeks to actually get a non-confidence vote onto the floor of the House of Commons. Then we'll see if Jagmeet Singh's latest promise of voting non-confidence was as insincere as his prior commitments to that effect.
When does his pension kick in?
In February. So he's now, basically, he said yesterday that he would put forward a non-confidence motion at the earliest opportunity. Well, that's likely to be March, which is...
Oh, that's convenient. Okay,
right
so that
after.
problem's off. So really,
That's right.
so March is the earliest, as far as you can see, that election could be called.
Singh will not vote non-confidence before he gets his pension, or at least he will not vote non-confidence in a way that sees the election happen before his pension kicks in. So we won't have an election before very late winter, early spring. Then there's the possibility that the Trudeau resigns and then goes to the Governor General and says we need to shut down Parliament, while the Liberal Party then chooses a new replacement, a Trudeau 2.0. And so there would be a leadership race. God knows how long that would drag on for. During
You think approximately in March, no earlier than March, as far as you can foresee.
Yeah, probably. And during which time we'd continue to flounder and twist in the wind. And by the way, the Liberal media is all saying, well, surely you wouldn't want to trigger an election during a Liberal leadership race. Excuse me, the Canadian people are not obliged, 41 million people are not obliged to wait around while this party sorts out its shit. Like, these guys could have got rid of Trudeau a year and a half ago. They knew he was a disaster then. And now they say, well, we're low in the polls, so we have to get rid of him. Now, you didn't care when he was just depriving single mothers of food for their kids, or doubling housing costs, or unleashing crime in neighborhoods across the country. But now you're really concerned about getting rid of him because your poll numbers are down and you want to keep your job. Sorry, that's not a good reason to paralyze the entire country, in the face, by the way, of a major negotiation with the incoming U.S. president, who enters with a massive and powerful mandate, and a man who has proven that he can spot weakness from a mile away. So the country should not be forced to wait for the Liberal Party to clean up its own mess. They've had plenty of time to do that. What we need now is certainty, and the only way that can come is through an election so the people can decide.